pleasant good morning to you, Mr. Griffith.
Comrades, good morning.
Good morning.
A
Good
great
morning.
Sunday to you.
Good morning. Yes, good Sunday to you as well. We just played your message, of course, and you said what transpired yesterday at that rally with former President Trump can easily take place right here. Why is it then that what you spoke about, those measures are never put in place to protect those in office?
And then I heard you
Um,
mention too that and people have all kind of 8 and 9 security details, and at this point in time, the present opposition leader only have 2, which I mean that's a red flag because you also mentioned that opposition leader most likely will become a prime minister. So you go ahead, my brother.
Yeah. You gave him quite a lot there. Go ahead, Griffith. Take your time. I know you got more than a lot there. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, sure. Good morning again to your many listeners. And again, what we would have seen yesterday, many people we love to follow and mimic what we will see in the United States. But those things, but that it happens to probably from some of the most qualified professional units in the world with the Secret Service. And our Secret Service equates with the special branch. And our special branch in Trinidad and Tobago needs massive revamping. Unfortunately, and this is not about the officers themselves. I know the officers, some of them are the most highly trained in the world. They can match with persons around the world in law enforcement. The problem is they become so politicized where they report directly to the Minister of National Security or the Prime Minister. They sometimes have to take instructions as to what matters they must investigate and monitor. Imagine, we have a position in this country, I don't know if you all are aware of it, but the special branch mandate also includes that every time there's a political meeting for the opposition, the special branch must attend and take notes to state exactly what the opposition has stated. Now, that is madness. The special branch is not a Gestapo unit that should be used to be manipulated for the benefit of the politicians who are in government. And that has been going on for decades. There's something that needs to change. The special branch, they are very concerned about it. So when it is you see a UNC political meeting and you see a strange fella dressed in a kind of outfit there in the back, and you realize, wait, he doesn't look like a UNC supporter. He is a special branch officer taking notes. And that is unfortunate. It is politicizing a very elite arm of the police service, and it must change. And it goes right back to how persons are selected in this point as it pertains to security. Security is provided not based on a threat assessment that is done to analyze the situation to say who must get and who must not get. It's based on politicizing. And we would have seen that where ministers of energy from Conrad Enel, Franklin Khan, they never even had a security guard with them because you're a minister of energy, as most ministers would not have state security. All of a sudden, as soon as Stuart Young becomes the minister of energy, he has security with Prados for each of his children, for himself. The man has a greater security detail for that of the Chief Justice, who holds the 3rd highest position in the country. And then let us not go down the road about the opposition leader. As I would have mentioned in that statement, Donald Trump equates with the leader of the opposition in Trinidad and Tobago at this time, not being a previous president, but there's a possibility he can become the next president, which equates with our opposition leader. And you would have seen the type of security provided for him. In 50 years, we never had that security for leaders of the opposition because the government, whether it is the NAR, the PNM, or whoever, will say, well, he in opposition, we'll give no security for him. That is unacceptable. I never put politics ahead of national security and what is right for the country to secure lives. So when I was Minister of National Security, I altered that where Keith Rowley was the opposition leader and security was provided for him. It was a token amount because persons evil were upset because I did it, but I did what was required. And you're talking about 50 years, commissioners before me, Stephen Williams, Hilton Guy, all of them. They go all, if James Philbert, not one of them had the common sense and trained to realize this person is the leader of the opposition. There must be security. What usually happens is if the prime minister demits office, they give them security for 6 months, and 6 months on a day, on the day after the 6 months, revoke the security. So it is totally unfortunate. It is unacceptable. Ivan Bazio Pandey, after leaving as a prime minister, after a few months, all the security was removed from him, and he was still the opposition leader. He was the previous prime minister. He could have been the next prime minister. And so that's what I did for Keith Rowley. Thankfully, it remained for Kamala Persad-Bissessar. But what she has is a token amount based on what I did as a Minister of National Security to provide security for the opposition leader. Why must the opposition leader have two security officers when arguably she has probably almost just less than half of the support of the country, and it means half of the country do not like her and would probably want to target her, similar to what happened with Donald Trump yesterday. And she has a token presence of two security officers. But Minimi of the Prime Minister, Stuart Young, will have over 10 security officers. And it goes even with the Prime Minister. Security is provided for the Prime Minister based on the perk. This man will be playing golf and will have more security around him than all of the police patrols around the whole of Diego Martin and Port of Spain on any given Sunday. You go down this morning on the golf course, you will see it. It is about 5 vehicles, Prados, Special Branch, Guard and Emergency Branch, IATF, all of them guarding this man and standing up, having to bear the sun for 4 or 5 hours whilst he's playing golf and then goes in the club with the boys. That is unacceptable. We even look at the president with outriders and blue lights and sirens. And I'm not saying to have no security for the president, but I remember I saw, when I went to Grenada recently, I saw the acting prime minister. The man is in a short pants and he came and he hailed me out and we were speaking. And I'm not saying that we must ever go to that level, but we have reached a point where security becomes a ceremonial perk, where you must have blue lights and outriders and sirens and you're blazing the trail. And you're looking at the threat assessment for Stuart Young, which was 0 at the time. Myself, as the Commissioner of Police, there were 43 death threats, 43 plans to assassinate me and my family, because I was digging deep into the criminal underworld. And as soon as I left as Commissioner, it was totally removed. And that is because of Special Branch, the police service hierarchy, and the politicians making decisions without...
And after that, to take away all your security detail. Should we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, watch it as they wanted, technically they put you up to be killed? Or that is too powerful of a language to use?
Well, it is either or. It is either that the police service, the hierarchy, which was McDonald Jacob at the time, at the head of the Special Branch, was so incompetent not to realize that somebody who had the highest threat assessment to be targeted in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, at no time anyone had 43 death threats and assassination plans. 43. And you, as well as McDonald Jacob, presently earlier Christopher, the present head of the Special Branch, could be so incompetent to lack national security and law enforcement training to see somebody with 43 death threats and you could automatically say, well, you must have no security. It is either blatant incompetence on their part or political manipulation and directive by the politicians telling these people to do that. Either or, it says so much.
I didn't hear you, Gary. Who was subjected to that 43 threat?
Myself, as the then Commissioner of Police, 43. Okay. So it was the highest. Mm-hmm. And in the Special Branch report, they stated I am the highest risk in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. There's never been anything even remotely close to that. I think the closest would have been 3 or 4. I had 43 for myself and my family. And then you would remove that security immediately. So it is either, as I said, incompetence on their part, right? Or politicians directing them, look, you see him? He's not supporting us again. He's not one of us. Take away all the security. And again, this goes to Keith Rowley, because when I was Minister of National Security, I was in the People's Partnership UNC government. Keith Rowley was a PNM. I did not care. That is, when you put an oath in office, I realized, look, this man supports, at least half of the country supports him, at least half do not support him. How in God's name can the state not provide security for a person like this? And I immediately spoke to Stephen Williams to have it done. And it was only a token presence, but at least it showed I understood the importance of not politicizing national security. So I did it for Keith Rowley as the opposition leader. And he kept it and he was grateful. And this man, as ungrateful and evil as you could be, will have no problem, and with 43 death threats on myself, and you will turn a blind eye because I brought it to his attention and he said nothing. So it is either you're that evil to say, well, okay, 43 death threats on you, no security for you. If something happened to you, it's good for you. Or you're just so incompetent and lazy that you will not speak to the police hierarchy to say, how could somebody have 43 death threats and there's no security for them? Or is it that the politicians directed the police to do that? Whatever it is, gentlemen, and to the viewers, forget about me. This is irrelevant, because today's Gary Griffith, tomorrow it could be any citizen in this country. Where it is, if it is based on your actions that you did by trying to protect the country, going after gangs, dealing with the criminal underworld, and fighting tooth and nail to save the lives of citizens. In return, what the state will do for you is, okay, now that you've done that, well, to heck with you. How it hang and swing, no security for you. If they kill you and your wife and your children, that's your problem. How could anybody think to vote for a government and a PNM and a Keith Rowley like this? Because that is not just being ungrateful, that is being evil. That you could see somebody who would have done something for the state and in return say, I am making sure that you have no security. But when you were the opposition leader, you were grateful that I was mature enough to provide security for you. How could anybody want to vote for a man like that?
Oh boy.
Wow. I just want to ask you one final question from me. Is there something that the public may not know, the politicizing of the security apparatus and the allocation thereof, notwithstanding, as far as Stuart Young is concerned? Because that seemed to be the odd or the rotten apple in that scenario. Why would Stuart Young get so much attention security-wise, other than
the
what
only
we
reason,
might have perceived?
Yeah, well, it's not a perception. I was commissioner of police. There was absolutely no threat to Stuart Young and his family. But that is my point. Our special branch and security is used as security guards in a security company where politicians will just direct the police that I want security for Stuart Young and his family. You could tell me that there's no threat to Stuart Young. He holds no position that if something happens to Stuart Young, God hoping nothing will ever happen to him and his family. But you can't just say, well, because he's close to the prime minister, let us give him 9 or 10 security officers with 3 Prados, bulletproof vehicles and all of that. And you have an opposition leader. So we have government ministers with armored bulletproof vehicles, and nothing like that is provided for the opposition leader, who, as I said, equates with, well, I was going to say she equates with Donald Trump, but let me not say that. She equates with the position presently of Donald Trump, which is somebody who might very well become the next president in the United States. She could become the next opposition leader, but she's given 2 security officers from the state, 2. And she has the leadership of just less than half of the country. So more than half may not like her. They may very well have someone similar to what happened yesterday with Donald Trump. And I'm not saying, God forbid, that we could ever reach that point of what we saw in the United States. But that is where it is. We must provide that protection for the leader of the opposition. But she gets 2 security officers when, as I said, half of the country may not like her. I had 43 death threats. I have no security. And Stuart Young, who had no threat whatsoever, has over 10 security officers, more than the Chief Justice, more than the DPP. And we are saying we are trying to accept this, and the only reason is because he's close to the Prime Minister. The Attorney General is supposed to have more security than the Minister of Energy. On what grounds can there be security for the state provided for Stuart Young and his children with Prados and bulletproof vehicles and all of that, and nothing even remotely close for the leader of the opposition who can become the next Prime Minister? That I am challenging anybody in the PNM, any security expert, debate with me on that. This is unacceptable.
And from your knowledge, what's the status with Mr. Imbert? He sometimes, of course, deputized for the Prime Minister, and he's the Minister of Finance. What from your knowledge, what's the situation with him, security provision-wise?
Well, I think likewise, there's no security. There's no security for him per se, unless, of course, he acts as the Prime Minister. Obviously, that type of security must be provided for him. But that is my point, gentlemen.
Okay. All right.
And again, I wouldn't want to go into details. Whatever security that they will have, my point being is there must be a level playing field. It must not be politicized, and security should be based not on who is in political office or who are friends of the Prime Minister, but based on a proper risk analysis done, a threat assessment done. And if that happens, there's no way that Stuart Young can have 5 times more security than the opposition leader.
Yeah, objectively, I agree with you. That is any closing remarks?
No, it's just that, as I said, when we get into government, I intend to change this. I think the special branch has become totally politicized. It goes right back, gentlemen, to why it is that they wanted me removed and the director of the SSA. The both of us were being pressured by a senior government minister to appoint a junior constable to be in charge of all of the intercept equipment, to macro and spy on all of your emails and your messages on your phone that any citizen could have. That would have given him that access. And I said it was wrong. wrong. You can't have a junior constable having that type of authority. And he continued to press, bam, I was moved. They pressured the director of the SSA to do the same thing, bam, but he was removed as well. This Trinidad and Tobago is what you call democratic dictatorship, where politicians are trying to direct. You're going to hear the big one. You would have heard Keith Rowley, as I close, you would have heard Keith Rowley yesterday speaking about he wants to take me to court. I am so excited to get on that witness stand, to bring to the country's attention and to ask Keith Rowley, did your government not put $45 million injected into the TTPS? Did we ask for that money? Was there a budget? Was there a tender process? Was it a breach of procurement regulations? I did not ask for those funds. Did you all not speak to us and tell us who must be hired, who must be contracted without the approval or the knowledge or the request of the TTPS? Did you not send me to London to meet with this lady? When I met with this lady, how did she know exactly what investigations to have? Is it coincidental that these investigations must just be aligned to investigate political opponents of the government? Yet 2 or 3 other government ministers were also under investigation, but she was not designed or delegated to investigate those matters. And whilst the police service would have shortages of meals, equipment, technology, no tasers, no pepper spray, vehicles breaking down, air condition breaking down, no stationery for the police, unable to do fingerprint for people to get certificates of character. You're not giving us a cent. But every time that they call and say that we are not investigating these political opponents because you have not paid us, you will call me as a minister and a PS. Gary, what is the problem? We don't have the money, sir. Okay, we're sending the money now to the police account. Make sure you pay us so we could continue these investigations as quickly as possible. When politicians are trying to direct and manipulate the police service to investigate solely political opponents of the government, this Trinidad and Tobago is dictatorship at the highest level. And any government in any democratic country would have been removed immediately.
Just don't go ahead because I have an anticlimax question. 100 officers from Trinidad for Tobago. I mean, I haven't said what you said there. I couldn't have you leave without responding to that. 100 officers from Trinidad for Tobago. I would love to hear your views on that one.
No, but before you say that too, here I watch Captain Griffith, Gary. What's why I watch that too? I say, but Tobago was doing well with their officers all along. Trinidad at this point in time under siege when it comes to we officers. So I in my mind saying, well, Trinidad and the policing work going so good here that things here real up the mark. That we send the best of the best of the best to Tobago to keep Tobago, to make Tobago now look like how Trinidad is looking, because the police service at this point in time is of a high moral and doing great when it comes to crime. So here, let's send this 100 police officers in Tobago.
Is capable of responding.
No, well, I watch at it. I just said I watch at it. But you go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, well, this is a desperate maneuver in the hope that they could keep their 2 seats in the general election, the hope that Tobagonians will feel that, yeah, they're doing something. And it is a total failure on their part. Again, if you recall, when I was Commissioner of Police, Tobago was never so safe. They felt so safe as well because we put in the Special Operational Response Team in there, a highly trained elite unit with their own intelligence agency. What this government is doing is what it's doing in cricket, for you all who enter cricket. This is what you call setting field for bad bowling. So the person takes a shot, he hits the ball in mid-on, you move the man from mid-off to mid-on. The fella takes an next shot in cover, you move the person from deep backward square leg to cover. That is what this government is doing, setting field for bad bowling. So, in other words, every time we have crime, just shift the police officers somewhere. What Tobago needs is not to increase quantity, but to enhance quality. That is the difference. We didn't go and send 100 police officers into Tobago. Let us not even talk about the logistic nightmare that is going to take place. You're just speaking about sending 100 Trinidad officers to Tobago. These men have wives in Trinidad or husbands. They have their children in school. They have their mortgages. They have their cars there. You are then going to shift them across there. That's going to add to their expenses, going to affect their morale without even speaking to them. So it will be a logistic and expense nightmare. That is one. The second aspect is that sending the officers across there is just numbers. It is going to be cosmetic. That is not what is required. What is required is what myself and Dwayne Gibbs understood. It is known as predictive policing. It is known as intelligence-driven policing. Being able to pinpoint the situation and know how to use it, which is why when we had the police app, the online reporting, the 482 Gary, that police app had 485,000 hits. It was the largest app in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. It was allowing us to know what was happening before it took place. So we'll get a tip-off of a prison officer about there's about to be a hit on him. This is the vehicle number. SWAT will immediately intercept and turn that vehicle into a strainer if they decide to target to shoot at the SWAT officers. That is what is required. Put in a lot of numbers and have the officers walk aimlessly around the street is not going to reduce crime in Tobago. It is cosmetic. You need to have proper intelligence-driven policing, which is why I set up the National Operations Center, the Operational Command Center, the Special Operation Response Team in Tobago. I was going to put the 999 system up. You know, when people call Tobago 999, it goes to the switchboard in Trinidad and St. James Barracks, who then sends it to a police station in Tobago. By that time, the man is gone. We had the Rapid Response Unit. We had the Emergency Response Patrol in Tobago that ensured a response in less than 5 minutes for distress calls, which increased visibility. It ensured it was a major deterrent, and it ensured that rapid response. That made people feel safe. It pegged back the criminals. Those are the things that are required. But to Tobagonians, because they shut down and dismantled all the things that would have been done that made you feel safer when I was Commissioner of Police, that made you feel safer when I was Minister in the People's Partnership Government, they have removed all of this. And now what they're trying to do is just to pelt 100 police officers to give you the impression that something is being done. It is not. It is window dressing, it is cosmetic, and it is what is known as setting field for bad bowling.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much, Gary. I think if for the first time I have to tell a guest on this program, the Ground Report, go to the top of the class. I think it was tremendous that the response to that last question on the Tobago issue, we have the same view as well. It's pure superficial political propagandizement.